I have never been this excited about the return of a serial killer in my entire life, but Dexter's a good serial killer, so this is okay, right? Look, I absolutely loved the original Dexter series that took place, of course, in Miami, despite all of its shortcomings and how it's probably one of the best and worst shows that I've ever watched when you have seasons like season 3. Season 3 was just horrible. And various other ones that certainly weren't as good as the peak seasons of the show. I still loved the uniqueness of it. I loved the way that they told stories. And of course, Dexter himself is just an awesome character to see on screen and to follow as he deals with all of his unique challenges. So to say I'm excited about New Blood is a massive understatement. And New Blood is very, very different than the original series. And I think it's important that it was very different. A lot of people were really irritated when the original series ended. Spoiler, by the way, there will probably be spoilers throughout this episode. So if you don't want to be spoiled, probably stop watching now. Come back later though. So yeah, the original show ends with Dexter at some logging camp or something, and you're like, it just felt so different from the Miami feel. And yeah, there were other things about the way that show ended that wasn't great, but it's exciting to me to see this total opposite landscape and setting for this new story. And I think it feels just different enough. I think it would have been a miss to make it too similar to the original series. It's really interesting to see Dexter playing this Jim character as he's trying to essentially fight off his addiction and his urges to kill people, which didn't seem too hard because it seems that Dexter strategically chose this small town where there's likely not a lot of criminal activity, which would provide him with criminals that he would hunt and eventually, of course, you know what he does. The interesting takeaways from this episode for me start with Dexter's decision to date the chief of police. I feel like there's some very clear intentionality here, or maybe an inability to fully disassociate himself with the person that he is. And you see multiple times in this episode where Dexter is overhearing criminal activity going on and he's intentionally trying to change the conversation so that he's not tempted to go back to his old ways. Yet he's dating the chief of police. Whether or not he has an actual connection with her, which as a psychopath, sociopath, I think it would be challenging for him to. So yeah, to me it seems very intentional that that relationship is the one he decided to pursue, basically setting himself up at some point in the future to go back to his old ways. The next thing that really was interesting to me was the connection between Dexter and the white stag that we see him chasing and seemingly hunting, but obviously not hunting throughout this episode. White stags are known to be evasive and hard to catch, much like Dexter was back in Miami. And that's probably why Dexter had such an interest and desire for connection with this creature. Dexter felt very similar to the stag. So when we see this Matt character killing the stag right in front of him, it's essentially also triggering the death of Dexter's resistance to killing. Speaking of this Matt character, that dude was horribly cringe, but they did do a good job of making us dislike the character and really honestly hoping that Dexter would come back and just take care of this dude, which of course he did, and that was awesome. I'm going to come back to that kill here in a minute, but before I do, I want to call out what I think was the most interesting thing of this episode in terms of where is the show going to go and is likely going to be the focus for the rest of the season, and that's the return of Harrison and Dexter accepting him in, revealing his true identity. So where is this going to go? What type of connection will there be? Will Dexter expose to Harrison who he really is? Is Harrison going to be Dexter 2.0? Probably unlikely, but maybe not. So this is going to be one of the things that I am very excited to see unfold as we continue through this show. So back to the kill. The best part of this episode was the return of the narration when the dark passenger re-emerges. I watched this entire show and actually tweeted at one point, Dexter without narration just feels wrong. I later deleted the tweet whenever the narration did come back. I didn't want to reply and be like, oh wait, there is narration, because there was intentionality there, and I think they wanted the show to feel like it was missing something. There were so many points in the show where something would occur and you would see Dexter just like blankly staring, and like there's a moment of silence. And that is where the narration would have occurred in the previous show. So it was a very exciting feeling when the narration returned and we really reconnected with the feel of what watching Dexter should be like. And that's essentially all of my thoughts for this episode. It was fantastic, and I am looking forward to watching the rest of the show. I plan on doing a review of each episode because, as I said, Dexter holds a very special spot in my heart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.